Hey Jeff, thank you that you like my knives and enjoy them. I keep the video as short as possible. First, let me explain who I am. Born in 1970 on New Year's Eve. My grandpa, an Italian guy, and my grandma was from Germany, so my mother is a German Italo girl, or was, she's dead. Came to that day to the hospital where I was born and went to the station, train station, and was buying some newsletters, and he saw a Victorinox, a Swiss Army knife, and he bought it for me on the day I was born. So I collect knives since I was 1 day old. Yeah, and then my mother, Italian German, met a U.S. Army guy in Germany. He was stationed there, and they made a boy. It was me, so I have U.S. roots from. Also my dad was from Jackson, Ohio. Long since dead now. So I have some roots all over the world, and my son is a mix out of German, Italian, US American, and a Filipina, and my wife now is a Frenchie, so with some Polish roots, so we have lots of international relationships going on. So let's come quickly over the knives. Since I was 1 day old, I collect knives, and I have over 800 knives now. I know that sounds crazy, but I buy the knives. I don't trade them, I buy the knives. Sometimes I get them for free for review. I have 2,500 subscribers now, videos, 8,500 subscribers for a German channel. That's okay, but not big for an international channel. When I started making the videos, I was watching your videos since then, and but I was creating or designing knives long time ago, before I maybe late 80s. So you have the worker. The worker is an idea of an, I'm sorry for that, I have a lot of stuff going on here. You know that my Vanquest backpack. I have designed the worker as a typical non-threatening knife, a classic gentleman's pocket knife. No thumb hole, no opening mechanism, just only with 2 hands, but with a backlog for providing it not closing when you make this spine wake test. Yeah, and some people, as I have to explain, some people know that I love the German Ankermesser, the anchor knife from Ottermesser. This is a German company, but this knife is already known in France as the Armor knife and London knife. And I talked to the German company Ottermesser, the owner of the company, Frank Rommel. I told him, hey, I designed a knife and a company from China wants to produce it. And I said, oh, congratulations. And I said, a lot of people say this would be an anchor knife. And he said, no, this is not an anchor knife, that's bullshit. We have a bigger blade, we have a light belly, which the Ankermesser or the London knife doesn't have. I talked to a guy who have a French knife cutlery company, and he said this doesn't have anything to do with the London knife, and Frank said This doesn't have anything to do with the Anker knife, just because, oh, okay, you have a handle, you have a blade, and you have a sheep's foot blade. That's all. But German guys are getting crazy of stealing knife designs. But yeah, this is, you see the difference. I think a lot of people see the difference. This is much bigger, and the blade is in another reason. And you see that here. This is for when you're cutting fruits or slicing fruits, that the juice is not going inside the axis, so it comes over here to that curve and goes over there and not into the axis, and it getting the blade stiff. So the idea was born on non-threatening gentleman's classic pocket knife, and it's a top seller. In Germany, sold out. As I know, in the United States it was sold out, but they ordered new, and I enjoy that. So that's the Worker, and the idea of name it the Worker was when I thought it was the first knife I ever released, but it wasn't. Maybe I come back with the story behind that. But I thought it was my first knife, which was released. And homage means it that the Spyderco Worker was the first mass-produced model, and I thought, hey, Spyderco, I'm a big Spyderco fan. I have 2 Spyderco cards, some bird cards, some bird knives, a lot of Spyderco knives and stuff, and so I thought, as an homage, the name gives it. So, one of my favorite knives. When I'm private, this is my favorite knife, beside my originally in France produced Laguiole knife with yeah, a typical, but not produced in China or Pakistan. Yeah, you know, this is bone, camel bone, 40C 27, $350 knife. This is when I go out and have dinner at a restaurant. This I have with me when I'm around in the city, and so yeah, that is the story behind me and the Worker. Then we come to the Neckmuck. I always loved my Condor Nesmuck, yeah? But the Nesmuck was an idea from an old or long since gone outdoorsman. His name was George Washington Sears. Maybe you know it. In Germany he is really unknown. But I don't make a secret that this knife is stands behind the idea of the Neckmuck. And I come now to the story. The Nesmuck I use in the kitchen every day, cutting fruits and slicing stuff, and but I always loved the idea of a neck knife, and you don't want to carry a knife like that on your neck. That's too big. So I shrinked it down to the size of the Neckmuck, which is a neck knife, and a Nesmuck. So playing with words, neck knife, Nesmuck, Neckmuck. Okay, that's the how I came to the word. And I thought the handle here from Condor is totally ugly, very crude made. I think this knife is 20 years old now, and they produced it in poor times. And I always loved the idea of having a neck knife, which is a good slicer, and a piece of cutlery when you can, if you are a hunter, you cutting through flesh, or if you skin a deer or skin an animal, whatever. So I thought this knife is too big to cut all day long with that knife, and so I thought shrink it down, make a better handle on it. And the design you have now is I think 20 years old. So the design of the Necmok is very old from my standing point. Standpunkt. We say in Germany, we say Standpunkt, standing point, point of view. A point of view. I think that's it. So I shrinked it down, and I thought of making a comfortable handle, and I thought finger grooves would be very good. So I thought a small neck knife, 3 fingers, that's okay. I don't need that one. And I made a version with out of wood. I made it with wood, the blade and the handle, and I thought, oh man, this is uncomfortable if you had to cut all day long. So let's take one knife to see how. I don't have now the Necmok with me just because I gave it to a friend for a test and review, and I thought at this time the CRKT Minimalist didn't exist. Yeah? Oh, we have maneuver. They are shooting. And I made on the shrinked blade of my Necmok some finger grooves like that, 3 finger grooves, and I was never thinking about a lanyard like that. So then I recognized it's too small, and by the time you get your fingers hurt. And then I thought about not making the handle longer, just a little bit, but just with a little more curve here, and like something like that, that you can put your pinky on that. And at this time the Le Duc never exists. So look at that. This is, if you think about it, the handle of the Necmok. You know what I mean? Yeah? This is the handle of the Necmok. It's a combination of these both knives, but they didn't exist at this time. And it's the blade of the Necmok. And so we have 3 knives in one, but this was the original idea, and these were not produced at the time when I have had the idea of the design. So I know a lot of people will think this is a copy of a CRKT Drifter, Minimalist, Le Duc, and a Necmok. So if they think so, okay, I don't care. But I love that knife, and I know a lot of people love that knife. Even hunters. I had emails from people from the United States, from Germany, from wherever. They love the knife and the Necmok, and they said, yeah, there are similarities of 3 knives. And I said, yeah, you cannot. How can I say it in English? I don't know the word. You cannot erfinden. We call it erfinden. You cannot define or invent. You cannot invent a new knife in this time. Every year they're coming hundreds and thousands of knives out, and some of them looking like any other knives. So I was too late releasing the knife Necmok, just because of 3 knives in one. So the Necmok is, I have to say, a 3-in-1 knife. But I hope the people enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it, and you can keep it, you can trade it as you want. But I love it, and yeah, So that's it, and hope you have a great day. Oh, I forgot. These are not my only knives I've designed and released. There's a Russian guy, Ruslan Hoffman, who takes care of the money for the producing. So I give the designs to him. This is the Stingray. This is my design. You see it. There's my logo on the blade. And there. There's my logo on the blade. This is the Barracuda. Knife for bushcraft, survival. This is a classic woodcraft knife. Very thin, low profile. Yeah, you see it? So these are not my only knives, and I have at another company a 10-year-old model called the Legal 42A now, which I designed 10 years ago. And I was eating with a guy at a restaurant, and I was painting a knife, and he said, I have a knife company. And I said, oh, I have 800, I have, at this time I had 500 knives. And he said, do you know anything about, look at that, what a slicer. He said, do you have any ideas of how designing a knife? I said, yeah, for sure. So I made it on that paper where when you get drinks, you put your glass with the drink on it. And I was taking my Fisher Space Pen, and I was making a design on that piece of wet paper. And this knife came out lots of years before I recognized. And we met again, and I said, hey man, what is that knife? I think I know it. And he said, yeah, you were the designer. So my first knife designs are very old. I am very old now, but I enjoy what I do. And now I said I try to keep the video as short as I can. I hope you enjoyed the video and not get bored of all this talk. So thank you for reviewing my knives, and I hope you saw every second on the video. Thank you. Greetings to Christina, and give Gaz a hug. I have 2 dogs as well, Mike and Lucas, Spanish dogs from the killing station, the Pereira, and I love my dogs. They are part of the family, and I think Gaz is part of your family too. And so now 18 minutes, it's time to go. I wasted enough time from you, and now I have to make some videos. One video of a comparison between the Mora Companion Spark and the Mora Fire Knife, which people think it's the same knife, but it is not. So now I have to do something, and hope you are not bored. If you want to put a link in the description box of the reviews and share it to the people what I'm talking about, so they see or know that you are now not talking stupid stuff. It's me who's talking that stuff. So, as I say in my German videos, tschüss, mach's gut, schwenkt die Schüsse ab und schwenkt die Kap, means bye bye, and take your head and make something like that. Okay, thanks Jeff, and give Gaz a hug, and Christina a hoo or a hug too. Bye. Oh, this is beautiful woodland here in Cologne, Germany, near Cologne, Germany.